Hey, y'all. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday and welcome back. Hey, y'all. There we go. Hey, happy Sunday. Welcome back to Lighten Up with Letitia. I'm Letitia, your host, and we are back for another episode. Actually, this is episode 5 of Rewind the Light Black Sitcom Spotlight. And I just, while we're waiting on folks to come on into the room, just want to do a little update, see how everybody is doing. If you're part of the replay gang, don't forget to replay, hashtag replay, and let me know your thoughts. But just a little bit of a check in too. We've been off for 2 weeks. The first week, I was kind of tired, and but also just wanted to hear Tamika's Den's testimony, and we're so glad that she is back and back in these YouTube streets, and her health is on the mend. And then last week, y'all, I was toe up. I don't know what was going on with me. I just was knocked out. I was sleeping all day long. I just did not feel good at all whatsoever. And then the next day, I felt fine, like almost great, pretty much. So some 24-hour thing that was going on. So we are back. I am a little bit tired because it's been a really long whirlwind of a week. And I say that because I mean it was just a slew of ups and downs all week long. And so I already had a big gala last night, hence the gala hair here, which I did myself. If you're on Instagram and you're connected with me on Instagram, you can see in my stories the full 24 or 360 view of the gala hair that I did myself. But also if you want to keep my family in your prayers, your thoughts, affirmations, and whatever it is that you do, I'd appreciate that as well. Unfortunately, we lost two aunts this week on the same day, completely unrelated. And so it is a trying time for our family right now. But with the gala to distract us as well, I wanted to come today because sometimes we need a fun distraction from the woes of life. And even in the midst of all that, I still got some good news this week, but again, it's just a very mixed bag of emotions. I am glad that the gala is over. It was a beautiful and wonderful success. And shout out to my cousin Nikki, who's the chair. And I mean, we did our thing, and now we can rest and like our loved ones to rest, and then also get some additional rest ourselves. So I again, oh, I forgot, I have not even been looking at the comments. Lord have mercy. Okay. Hey, Candy. How you doing? Hey, Monique. Great recap of Beyond the Gates, girl. Thank you for catching me up because I think I'm behind in like 2 episodes. So, yeah. Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that. We really do. My dad, it was 8 of them, and now there's only one left. So this is his sister, and the sister-in-law who we absolutely love. So, yeah. Hey, Jamarcus, how you doing? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We really appreciate that. So again, we are here for Rewind the Light, Black Sitcom Spotlight. Um, if you haven't known it before, this is a new episode of the new series here where we take a nostalgic look back at our favorite Black sitcoms and uncover the timeless life lessons in a new light. So today is about like unrequited love not takeovers, turnovers. So remember when we were kids and like if a kid would do something to you, if they hit you or throw mud on you or kick you or whatever, tease you, whatever, it was always said to us, oh, that just means that they like you. And I feel like, as a kid, that might be fine. Although I'm like, why are we teaching our kids that? But okay, fine. We get older, we know better. But I feel like even in adult life, people still think that this is cute. And that's what we're going to be talking about today for adults who have taken this way too far. So we're going to talk about the folks that kind of like wore folks down or whatever, and they actually got them, or maybe they did, or maybe they didn't. And we're going to be determining whether or not it was love or if it was stalking. So now, personally, what I think is that a lot of times the person, the victim itself, sometimes I think that they are like secretly flattered by it. And that's another issue all in itself. And then also, I always wonder, like, when people do get these people, like, what do you tell people your love story is if you actually stalk them to the point where you're like, you've worn them down? you know so I'd rather, for me, it's like, I don't think that that's cute. I don't think it's like fun to It's one thing for a person to pursue you, it's a whole another thing for people to be all weirdo and all that sort of thing. So anyway, the question today is whether or not them getting together was their manifestation, or if it was simply madness. So that's what we're going to talk about. Okay, here's the random question. All right, Demarcus, what you saying? This is why I ask random questions, to keep people smiling and laughing. Oh, yes, yes, that's cool. And you know what? I love your questions too, because they always make me think. Like, I don't know if I've ever thought about that before. Let me actually go and think about this answer before I put it out there. Although sometimes I feel like the questions are just super easy, like no question on some things. But other things, I'm like, I really have to like ponder on that. You know? We do. We appreciate you, Demarcus. We really do. Oh, yep. Yep. Yes, we were. We were taught toxic love when young boys pull girls' hair to show that we like them. Yes. Yes, that's very much toxic behavior. Yes, very much so. Always thought provoking. So we'll get into the first one. It's my favorite stalker to talk about, because their love story just irks my soul. Is the Parkers with Nikki and the professor. Y'all know, we've had this conversation a few times. It's the last episode. I cannot stand how they got married. And I hate that she saw it as love, but to me, I feel like she just simply wore him down, because for years he berated her, he avoided her, he shunned her. But then there were times when he actually led her on, when he only wanted her when somebody else wanted her. And then there were other times when he just simply used her. Remember that one episode where he got thrown out of his apartment or whatever, and she let him live with him, and he was ordering her around, talking about, make me this sandwich, iron my clothes, you didn't do it right, he fussing at her and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know she's not your woman. You don't want her to be your woman. So why did you even participate in that? So I just thought it was really cool. I mean, not cool. I thought it was just really interesting to talk about them, and how do you go from calling her Miss Parker for 5 years to now saying Nikki, your wife? And how are you going to, like, in your conversations during marriage, how are you going to reconcile all of those nasty things that you said to her, about her? I don't get it. I don't get it. Hey, Miss Kara. They were horrible. Yes, they were. They absolutely were. They were the worst. I would never want this love story. And for her, her love story, when she's telling other people, it's just going to be flowery and loving. But what is he going to say? Is he going to cry every time like he did to her? "Oh, for so many years, I was a fool, but I actually love her." He should be embarrassed. This is just craziness to me. Oh, we're going to get there, Demarcus. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Yes, she was. And you know what's crazy though, Candy? Like, she didn't have to be. She was this fun loving person. She got along with pretty much everybody. She never really met a stranger. And it wasn't like she didn't have opportunities to be with other men. She just chose to chase this raggedy man. I'm only calling him raggedy because of the way he treated her, because unlike on the surface, he was a decent dude in terms of like he had a nice job, he was professional, he's nice looking and all that sort of thing, whatever. But the way he treated her was just a no. He just become it's thumbs down for me, thumbs down. We're gonna get to it, Demarcus. We're gonna get to it. This couple was a why exactly to the writers. I agree. I felt like this was the opportunity for them to make a change. Like she changed, I mean, she chased him for all those years, and it would have been just chef's kiss is if she had just said, you know what, I thought I loved you for so many years, or I did love you for so many years, but Johnny came and stole my heart. And therefore, I'm going to have to say no. And security, come and get him anyway, because why he tried to bust up in her wedding. Not tried, he did. He busted all up in her wedding. I cannot stand that. She didn't have to be desperate at all. At all. She was pulling men. There was no excuse for her doing all that she did that. And he just was not even worth it. She was not worth it. Was Dwayne Wade stalking Denise? Now they didn't make the list, but I did feel like he was lightweight stalking Denise. I think it was just at first. I mean, they're in college. He's, going from child to adult. And I'm thinking, well, maybe he was just, he was interested and he was kind of enamored with Denise as well. But over time, he kind of faded from Denise because remember he had a girlfriend. He dated the Colonel Taylor's daughter, Suzanne, and then of course later on dated Whitley, which I'm not a fan of that either. Moving on. Yeah, yeah, Demarcus, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. In fact, they're next. They are next. So anything else about Nikki and the professor? Because I just could not with them. I just could not. But okay, so the question is again, was it manifestation or was it madness? And so what is the verdict for the Parkers or for Nikki Parker and Stanley Ogilvy? She was a desperate housewife. Oh, she was desperate. She wasn't a housewife. She wasn't even getting the perks of a housewife. So can't give her that. Also, the verdict, what is y'all verdict? Was this manifestation or was it madness? For me, it was madness. She absolutely stalked this man, and she at the end, she settled for him. And it should have never been. Y'all agree? Madness. I totally agree. Madness. Yes. Okay. So then DeMarcus, come on in with it. Yes. The Mr. Did I Do That? Stephen Q. Urkel and Laura Winslow. So when he came on the scene, he's basically loved her since they were 13 years old. He loved her so much that he even cloned his own self and made a whole nother persona, a cooler version of himself, so that she would like him, which she did. And this is one I really wanted to talk about. Like, this is kind of their love story. Like, they started off at 13, then they became friends, even though all along he had been, stalking her. He was always down for her. Now, definitely he had become a friend. He was there for her. She was there for him and all that sort of thing. And then eventually they did end up getting together. She chose Steve over Stefan. So he got rid of Stefan to never be seen again, and they actually got engaged. We didn't see them get married, but we did see them get engaged. The other thing, though, was there was sometimes a bit of a triangle when Myra Monkhouse came on the scene. And then the stalker gets stalked. So, what do y'all think about Myra? To me, she was also a stalker. Very much so. And he did end up being with her. So, it became a whole she wore him down type of stuff because she did indeed get him at least at one point, right? But the one thing I wanted to talk about with Family Matters is this this gets on my nerves. The writers, the stupid studio audience, like why whenever Laura would put in some type of boundaries and Steve crossed them, and not just Laura. Eddie could put those in place and he would cross it with Eddie, with definitely with Carl, because he was a straight up menace to Carl. But like, why, whenever they got mad and they told him off, told him to stop doing what they had been telling him to stop doing, why do we feel bad and feel sorry for the stalker? Why were we made to feel bad because Laura had to check him? And because we didn't, because, the words weren't nice, then all of a sudden it's now we have to blame Laura. I've seen so many people in social media who say that Laura was trash. I'm like, why was Laura trash? Because she said, "Leave me alone." She was out there singing Michael Jackson, and y'all just and he wouldn't. I don't get it. See, you know what, Demarcus? I didn't even see that till just now. Literally, oh my gosh, no, sir. She was not. How was she trash? How was she trash? How was she trash? You would. I did not think they well, one, they didn't have a relationship. They were just friends. She never dated him. She did not like him like that. Denise didn't. So no. Yeah, what are boundaries and Steve's what? Exactly. Exactly. I'm with you, Candy. Please, Demarcus, let us know how Laura was trash. Because again, this is one of the things that really irritated me so badly about this show was like, why are we feeling bad? They even did a whole episode where they switched places and Laura became the nerd and Steve became the cool one. And so she could see how it felt when she was mean to Steve. And I'm like, but Steve was a pest. Okay, he was beyond annoying. He was disruptive. He was destructive. I mean, he was just an all right, I mean, he had a good heart, has a good heart. I think he always meant well. But when he was younger, he was an especially uh, a huge menace to Carl. Just walk. He used to just walk into their house. I'm like, did he ever knock? He was a stranger. I'm like, you just all up in these strangers' house. I don't think we ever met his parents. Just he was just some kid next door that just walk into their house and just do whatever. Steve was trash. I mean, ooh, I hesitate because I think he had a lot of trash ways. But I do believe that he had a good heart. His heart was just so overwhelmed for Laura that he could not see past being a freaking stalker. He was doing too much. He was doing too much. He needed a helmet and a harness and a muzzle while you playing. Oh my gosh. I love Maxine too. I like Maxine, but and now I will say there were times where I felt like Laura was a little bit trash to Maxine, but I definitely wouldn't say that she was trash to Steve. Because it wasn't like Laura set out to make fun of Steve or to berate him or anything like that. She only checked him and said anything halfway mean to him when he was stalking her, when he just wouldn't let go, when he wouldn't just leave her alone. He was socially awkward, but he was very much unaware. He was not self-aware at all, I don't think. But one thing I will say I did like about Steve was he was never afraid to just be himself, socially awkward and all. He was never afraid to be himself. I mean, we was in the 90s, we was literally doing the Urkel. It was a dance. We literally was doing the Urkel. There was really toys, and he had a bobblehead, he had a cereal, he had a animation show. We like Steve again, we are glorifying this stalker. He absolutely was obsessed. Yes. How you introduced me to Stefan, then take more eggs. He was super smooth. He almost seemed unreal. Like he was so smooth. Remember the time where they were dancing and stuff like that? I was like, okay, but I'm like literally he looks the same. They just changed his clothes and took his glasses off. I'm just like, come on now. Was we for real? For real? We were. We loved us some Stefan. I know I did. I remember. Steve was the man of basketball. He was. He was. And I think over time, we saw more and more of his skills and his talents and things like that. I think Steve could have been a really cool person to, be friends with, and not that he wasn't, because I think him and Eddie did become really good friends and all that kind of stuff, and that's cool. It's just that I could not stand the aspect of him always being in Laura's hair, always messing up her dates, always trying to interfere in her life, and it just wasn't right. So Steve aggravated my nerves. I'm not same, very much annoying. And likewise, Myra was equally annoying. They were so crazy. Oh my gosh. If there, I did see a YouTuber out here. I forgot what the channel is called, but she does Steve and Laura content. She's like, oh, it's Steve and Laura time, where she always held space for Steve and Laura as a couple. And I'm like, if people are into that, that's cute and that's cool. But for me, no. If I don't like you, I don't have to like you. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like me, you don't have to like me. But over time, again, she ended up falling in love with him. And actually, both of them proposed. Stefan and Steve both proposed to him, and again, eventually, she stole. She's I'm sorry, my cat. You okay? He brought his toy because he wanted to play. I don't know if you can hear him or not, but anyway, so she did eventually choose Steve, and then he went on to say that he still felt like he wasn't worthy of her, literally saying those things. Another reason why I'm not a fan of Steve and Laura, because in a relationship, you need two whole people, not people who think that the other is too good for them and they're not worthy of them. You should be feeling like you're worthy of your partner and your partner is worthy of you. You know what I'm saying? And so just a little bit of trivia, because I like trivia over here. So I said before, and I'll say it again, that this show really did not age well, especially in light of a lot of the things that Jaleel White, the actor, is saying in real life. Like, for instance, he did an interview and said where he wanted to do a reboot, but he wanted the reboot to be where Laura was a single mother and a baby mama instead of wife. Now, he didn't mention, or at least I don't recall, he didn't mention whether or not they actually got like married and divorced, but that he wanted her to be a single mother and a baby mama. I'm like, more proof that Laura should not have settled for him, because let's talk about the resentment in situations like this. Again, so the one question is, okay, how do you tell your love story? The other question is, for the person who then got them, do they then at some point become resentful after all those years that you turned them down? And then, or a person might get resentful for all those years that that you were stalking them, and then they finally gave in. And if they don't like something you did, then it's like it might be resentment on that side as well. So, anyway, what is the verdict? Are we saying this is manifestation for Laura and Steve, or was it madness? For me, she settled for Steve. Um, it was absolutely stalking for me and total madness. I am looking at the comments. Okay, we go. Who was a better nerd, Carlton or Steve? I don't know what you mean by better. Who did I like better? I liked Carlton better. Um, Carlton was funny. Carlton was one of the funniest characters on Fresh Prince, and I don't think you get enough of his just due because he was hilarious. Um, but I don't know what you mean by better. Carlton was nothing like Steve. I agree. Laura reminds me of season one Whitley. Really? I mean, all 8 seasons she reminded you of Whitley. I mean, they were kids. Don't forget, they were kids when they first came on, and they grew into college age. So Carlton wasn't a nerd to me. He was and wasn't cool, but he had his own way. And I really love me some Carlton. Madness. Uh-oh, we agree. We agree. Madness. Okay. Definitely madness. All right. So let's go on to the next one. We're gonna reach back a little bit further. And this is Thelma Fry and Pastor Reuben Gregory. Now, I mean, as soon as she laid eyes on this single man, he was a single pastor, came into the church. I think the church was looking for a new pastor, and they ended up bringing him in. And she set her eyes on this single pastor. She claimed him, and in my opinion, she stalked this man. Now, generally speaking, I don't think there's anything wrong with pursuit. But I feel like, because in truth, like when it comes to church stuff, the church aspect of it, women have been pursuing for years with cakes and pies and making meals. And heaven forbid a pastor's wife pass away, child, it'd be a feast, a repast after the repast. They bringing stuff to the house, to the church, and they've been trying to get that man with food all for years and years and years. Um, but he and also one thing I will say differently about Pastor Reuben Gregory was that he was never mean to her. Now he didn't return her feelings initially, but after 4 stalking years, they finally got married. So I had this conversation previously a couple of years ago, and one of my male friends chimed in and said that he liked her. He wasn't against her, but that marriage was his trigger. Now, I mean, I've watched Amen. Obviously, I watched it back then, but I haven't refreshed it enough for me to find out like his reasons why. But again, I never remember him being mean to her. He even gave in to her a couple times, and he was willing like to date her. It's just that I think he felt like she came on too strong. But I did think that was an interesting take on it, that marriage was his trigger and not necessarily her. So I have mixed emotions about this one. I still feel like she was stalking, but for me, the verdict on Thelma is that it probably was a manifestation. So probably. I mean, I'll give her a little grace. Um, Thelma was like Nikki Parker. I did previously say that I felt like Thelma walked so that Nikki Parker could run. She was lightweight, relentless, with the pasta. But I think this is one of those things remember we talked earlier about him being flattered. I think he always was flattered. So I could buy that maybe he did like her, which I think he did. They did date. I think he liked her. I think he was just, maybe turned off initially because she came on so strong. In her eyes, it was manifestation. I definitely agree with that. Imma give it to her though. Imma give it to her as manifestation, although I still feel like strongly it was indeed she was stalking. Yeah, but she turned it over. The unrequited love was turned over, and as you can see, they actually did make it to the altar, and she did indeed become Thelma Fry, Gregory. So, I like they man, and now I think Imma go and try and, uh, binge watch it over the course of, I don't know, maybe sometime in April, maybe. All right. So now we're going to get into the ones where they didn't quite overturn the unrequited love, and it may not have necessarily been love at all. But the next one is Wear That Man Down. I mean, technically, yes. I think like she did wear this man down. She did indeed. But at least the difference between her and Nikki Parker is that this man is dressed for his own wedding. This man willingly showed up at the altar. He didn't have to be locked into some closet because her best friend was trying to keep her from making a big mistake. No, he willingly went to the altar. So that's why I'm gonna give it a manifestation for Thelma. I mean, she stalked him, but I'm gonna give it to her. What about Thelma and Keith? I hope they made the list. Who's Thelma and Keith? Oh, they did not make the list, but we can talk about them. I don't wait a minute. Why would we talk about them though? Not on this list. Because Thelma and Keith loved each other. She didn't have to turn him. He didn't have to turn her. They didn't stalk each other. They loved each other. And they got married and they lived happily ever after his knee healed and he went back to the playing football and they got out of the ghetto. They lived happily ever after. Okay, so the next one is child manifesting for sure. See, I agree. I agree. I think this one's manifestation. So the next one is Lord have mercy, Nicolette Vandross and Eddie from Malcolm and Eddie. Child. Okay, so this show was really funny. I love Nicolette's character. She was really funny. That's Karen Molina White, and at the time, she was actually girlfriend to Malcolm. And I saw an interview with her again. I like trivia, so I saw an interview with her, and she was saying how basically like Eddie was like intentionally mean to her in real life, and that she had those insults that Nicolette got Karen internalized, and she felt like she was being called ugly and all these nasty names, and that they were toward her character. Now, this is not the first time I heard that Eddie wasn't that friendly. And as a matter of fact, Malcolm and Eddie didn't actually get along. But what they mutually came together about was about that money because they knew if they got to syndication, they would have money rolling in. Unfortunately, they did not. I don't think they got like 88 episodes or something like that. So, anyway, back to the characters. Uh, Eddie was so very mean to her, and she would go to the ends of the earth for him. But again, nothing excuses stalking. You know what I'm saying? So again, I feel like you don't have to be nasty, but you can tell people like leave me alone, stop it. I don't feel comfortable when you do that or whatever. But she just would not stop. And this particular I don't recall if they actually got together as a couple. Actually, I don't remember if they did or not. I don't think they did. But this this clip right here or this photo right here is from the episode where they had gotten stuck in the wilderness or something like that. And child, they did do the do. And this right here was in the morning time. She had gotten up and went out hunting, unalived and skinned a bear or whatever, and cooked and everything, all because she had a lot of energy after their night together. This show was so funny. But they were a hot mess. And she was a hot mess. And Eddie could be an a-hole. Absolutely. A freaking jerk. But again, it doesn't excuse um stalking. They hooked up plenty of time. They did. I thought this was a one and done thing because, like, remember when the professor and Nikki had gotten together? He had gotten so drunk that he didn't care anymore. He was mourning the relationship loss of another woman, and she took advantage of the fact that he had gotten drunk, and and they did the do, and she thought it was really something. even had a pregnancy scare and everything, which is so crazy. But I didn't know that they had hooked up plenty of times. Oh, so he was just playing her. See, this is one of those things where I think he was like under the cover, not under the cover, but undercover flattered by her. He just didn't outwardly want to show that. Now, why that is, I don't know. Nicolette was fun. She did her job. She was the wasn't she like a meter maid? And she actually made this list twice. But I'll tell y'all in a minute. Okay, yes, after the cave, I believe they were hooking up on the oh my gosh. And you know what? I had these on DVD too, but now I have no DVD player. But oh my gosh, now I have to go back and look again. The show itself was so funny. I think my daughter had bought the DVD and I was like, Malcolm and Eddie. Because I don't recall like even watching it when it was on. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, I don't remember. But when I sat down and watched those DVDs, I was like, this is so hilarious. They are so funny. But yeah, but Eddie was still a jerk to her. No, I did not know that, Monique. Thank you for chiming in about that. You learn something new every day. Yes. So yeah, okay. So then the next one is um Kim and Hakeem. Child, she loved her some Kimi when she was on Moesha, and he did not want her. She was always chasing him. He did not want her. And then at one point he did want her, but that was only when she was with somebody else. That is like always the case. When she, got with Michael or whatever, he wanted her then, but it wasn't for real. And then ultimately they just became friends because then when she went over to the Parkers, he even dated Stevie at one point. Now, one time, not Katie, what's her name? Kim. Kim was hating on them though when they had gotten together, but I didn't get it. I didn't get the impression that she wanted Hakeem or she wanted to be with Hakeem. So ultimately, they were just, ended up just being friends. And she was just a boy crazy teenager who, because he was part of the crew, she just liked him. But she liked a lot of boys back in the Moesha days. So, oh shoot, we gotta go back. So forgot about Malcolm and Eddie, whether or not that was manifestation or madness. Actually, the rest of these are madness anyway, because like there's no need for manifesting anything that it wasn't manifested. Like Eddie and I don't think Nicolette and Eddie ultimately got together as a couple. So there's no manifestation there. And then for Kim and Hakeem, same thing. There was no manifestation there either because they did not actually get together. I agree with that. Because you know what? On Moesha, Kim got unnecessarily dogged. They had no reason to dog her. She was the fun friend, she was the understanding friend, she was the down for whatever friend all the time, and they was always dogging her. I'm like, and for what reason? She had main character energy. Like, why was they dogging her like that? Okay. Let's see. You didn't watch Malcolm and Eddie? I don't recall watching it when it was on myself. Maybe a couple of episodes here and there, but like, but then when my daughter bought those things, I thought, what is this mess? And then I started watching. I was like, dang, this is really funny, you know. So yes, I totally agree. But anyway, they didn't get together, so that's all good. The next one is Lord. Jamie and Fancy. So he was stalking her from the point of him stepping foot into the hotel. He came on the scene flirting with her. And I feel like after 5 years of wearing her down, child, I think they got married. Yeah, I think they got married. They definitely got together. I feel like he stalked her, but at least she was willing to date him and they actually dated. I mean, over time, like he did stalk her, but over time, he dated other people, she dated other people, and then they became, organically they became friends because they worked together as well, and they learned to lean on each other and depend on each other and that sort of thing. And then they fell in love. So, yeah. I don't feel like it was necessarily a wearing down, but I mean, it could have been to a certain degree. Jamie and Fancy had chemistry. I agree with that. And speaking of which, they had so much chemistry, they actually dated in real life. But Jamie is very, uh, he was very professional, I guess. He was more thinking about like the money, whatever. What they had decided is that they weren't going to get together until after the show wrapped. And then after the show wrapped, she was already involved and I think then engaged to somebody else. And he has talked about in interviews where he blew it. So because he wanted to hold off, until after the show wrapped and everything. I mean, professionally, I guess that's cool, but he missed his chance, and I don't think he ever did get married to this day. But she did, and now I think divorced. But she had her kids and everything, and I guess it's all good. But yeah, what is the verdict for Jamie? I put that it was stalking at least initially, but then they became friends and lovers. So I'll give it a manifestation. Yes, Fancy and Jamie. What do y'all think? Jamie and Fancy were the bootleg Martin and Gina. I mean, I know what you mean when you say that. I know what you mean, and I get it, but I despise the thought of comparing anything to Martin and Gina because I feel like I don't know why anybody would want to be in a type of relationship that Martin and Gina were in. I really don't. So, I don't know if I can get with that. Dated a lot of black Garcelle dated a lot of black men, but yet she married and had children with the other from another mother. So what do you call them? DeMarcus says madness. What do y'all say? I still gave them a manifestation. They went ahead and got married. They loved each other. They both showed up at the same wedding. Nobody had to be forced to be there or anything like that. And like I said, I feel like it was an overtime thing because they became friends because they had both dated other people in addition to dating themselves. So, yeah. Yes. Yes, I'm gonna go with manifestation as well. As well. Okay. So the next one, y'all know I'm silly. But DJ Jones and Sticky Web. I cracked myself up. This is what I said. This is what I meant when I said Karen Molina White made this list twice because she's the voice of DJ. And so she was a straight up animated stalker. Now, I can say, okay, yes, they were young teenage kids, preteens, whatever. But and she was boy crazy and all of that. But baby, that Sticky was her boo thing. I told you I'm silly. I'm silly. But no, for real, Sticky was her boo thing. So much so, y'all. Sticky left the show. They said that he left. Okay, so the story was that his parents got divorced and his dad got custody of him, and so they moved away, right? The rumor was that basically he left the show, or he left not the show, he left town or whatever to get away from DJ. So in real life though, um yes, DJ. Yes, indeed. We talk about all black sitcoms here, and this is even if they're animated. We gonna talk about it. But she okay, so but in real life though, like they were looking to do an additional seat. That's why he didn't appear in whatever the last season was. He didn't appear in the season, or maybe he appeared in the reboot. I don't remember, but I know he didn't appear in that last season though because Orlando, um, is it Orlando Jones, child? Yeah, Orlando, he was starting to get into trouble at the time, and I'm not sure that he was quite available or if Disney wanted to be associated with him because he was starting to get into some like legal and criminal trouble. And so that is like the real story. But on the show, uh Dejanay drove him away because she was a stalker for Sticky. So the verdict for this one is absolute madness. Definitely madness. Run, Sticky, run, because child, no. Okay. Now the next one is a hear me out. The next one is a hear me out. Okay. So Martin and Gina. Speaking of them, DeMarcus. So, okay. Remember that episode? It was early on when Martin was looking for ideas for the radio show. And so somebody told him that he should tell the story of how he and Gina met. But when he was sitting out talking to his friends about it, including Gina and Pam, nobody could agree on how the story actually went. So there were two stories that was told. When she told the story, she basically was like this grand queen, and he was a big nerd that showed up, and she was there to basically like take him in and make him feel better about himself. And then when he told the story, he was big pimping, came in there with the big boots, the big hat, the big cape, and was acting like he was like, you know, come here, baby, all that sort of thing. And she was like, oh, like she was falling all over him. But the real story, when Tommy came in to tell the real story, they actually met at a party. I mean, they both talked about this party, but they met at this party. And Tommy, I believe Tommy was invited to the party, but Pam was already in the party, obviously, with Gina and everything. But Cole and Martin crashed the party. And when Pam came with the security to get them kicked out, before that, Martin was trying to woo Gina. So he grabbed the saxophone from the saxophone player and he started being silly and acting like he was playing and everything. And then when Pam came over there with the security to escort them out, he was like, oh, I'm with her, with Gina. And she was like, is that true, Gina? Is he with you? And she was like, yeah, this is my friend. And he was like, man. She was like, this is my new friend. He said, man, I'm your new man. And then that's how their relationship started. Like, so I was like, oh, okay, what did he, I mean, it was a short stalking, but he pursued her very quickly and just became her man at the end of this party. And then they got together after that. I thought it was weird, but I mean, what say you? What say you? What about Jewel and Jazz? I vaguely remember them, but I don't think did Jewel stalk him? We know that Jazz was lightweight stalking Hillary, but did Jewel stalk him? Because he did marry her. Martin and Gina manifestation. Like he was the Mac. Yes. Yes. Yeah. The episode of Martin and Gina was your favorite episode because you love them. I cannot stand them. I don't care that they got married. I mean, fine, great, and wonderful. But when people say things like they are couple goals, I'm like, how? Why? For what? Like, he is obnoxious and annoying. He was down for his friends, he was down for Gina and everything. I could not be in a relationship with somebody like him. He was just too much male chauvinist, controlling sometimes, just doing the most and obnoxious. Definitely weird, but it worked for them. Yep. 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 We know. Our resident troll, we know, we love them. Here you go again. Martin and Gina acting like Laura and Steve Urkel was hilarious. Um, no. Well, yeah, okay, it was. It was hilarious, but I just this was a weird way to get involved with somebody, but I'm like, I had a similar story in real life, but another story for another day. But yeah, it worked for them. I guess it was a short manifestation period, but I'm gonna say it was manifestation as well. It wasn't madness because they did eventually get married and everything. Although, it took a minute for them to get there and get there the right way because his first proposal was straight up trash. He was like, "Dang," what did he say? "I will marry you." Damn. Like, that's not romantic. See what I'm saying? He's just completely obnoxious. So anyway, what say you for them? Again, like it's like I said, short manifestation, but I'll call it a manifestation. It is what it is. Moving on to the next one. Oh, actually, those are all that I have for that. But you know me, I have some honorable mentions. So my honorable mention is I have three of those. Here we go. Roger. To the twins. I don't even know what Roger's last name is. From Sister Sister. He was always showing up, always wanting their attention. And the thing about Roger is he didn't even care which one. He just wanted attention. Now, the reason why I put this in an honorable mention is because they were literally kids. You know, I don't think Roger got with either one of them. I think they had one of them had a pity date with him or something like that, but that's about it. He didn't ultimately get with either one of them. They had real boyfriends come high school time. Our oh no, let's go by some names. We had Bobby the Beast Boyd, that was one of the boyfriends, and then we had Bud from Cosby Show. He was one of the other boyfriends. So yeah, how long should it take to get married? I mean, that's gonna depend on your relationship. My issue wasn't so much how long it took them to not get married or to get married. It was the way he proposed. She moved in with him with the intention that they were going to be getting married, and he was like dragging his feet. We talking about Martin, and his first proposal was just absolute trash, and she left, and she moved away and everything, took another job somewhere else, and then he decided to come correct, as he should have. You know what I'm saying? As he should have. He was annoying as Roger. He really was. He was like the new school Urkel, highly annoying. Again, same thing, just showing up everywhere, being in their business, being a pest, you know, just annoying, annoying. And I'm sorry, but I never when they go home, Roger. We were all shouting it. Go home, Roger. I never felt bad for Roger. Not never, ever. Okay. And then the next one is I hate to say this because this guy was a heartthrob in the 90s, and I absolutely loved him. In all of these shows that we've mentioned, he played a quick role or a role or two in all of these black sitcoms. But Ivan to Khadijah, straight up stalking. He was stalking her on her job. He one time he made he made the admission that on Friday nights he would sit on his bike across from Khadijah's brownstone and just watch for her or whatever. I was like, sir, no, no. And even when Khadijah's sister came into town, Tatiana Ali came in, who's around his age, He was not trying to date the sister. He only had eyes for Khadijah. And I'm like, sir, you're just doing absolutely too much. But at least he did a good job on his work. You know what I'm saying? So Rudy and Bud, Kenny's relationship was hilarious. That wasn't a relationship either. She treated him like crap. Thankfully, they had become just well, they were always just friends. They were always just friends. And when she got with Stanley, he acted like an overprotective friend. So yeah. I've been stalking. I know. I know. And I'm just like, this man. I wonder how in real life how many stalkers he had in the 90s because he is so fine. He was so fine, so fine. In fact, he was Clarence the so fine in Amen. And he from Ohio too. Ohio born and bred. Um yeah, it makes me wonder. I'm like, what? But why? He loved him some Khadijah. A lot of these shows hit differently as the okay. This is why Rewind the Light, Black Sitcom Spotlight exists because of that very reason. When you look back, you're like, oh my gosh, oh my, for real. Is that the real thing? You know, what I mean, it's like we are really questioning the decisions we were making back in the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s. And like, oh my gosh, did we actually say that? Did we actually think that? Did we actually really follow suit with stuff like that? And the answer is yes, in a lot of cases, I'll say that because I know there will be things, there were still, I never liked the Parker's name ever. I never thought it was cute for her to marry him at the end. I always wanted the writers to write that she married Johnny and they went on to live happily ever after. I was never with that, period. But you are so right. Okay, and then the last one is now I'll admit, y'all, I did not watch this show like that. I remember it vaguely, and the reason why I'm bringing up this show anyways because somebody in a previous show mentioned them. So I'm going to mention them here as well. And that was her name was Tanya and Marion in the house. And again, I don't remember the show like that. I remember the show was called In the House. I remember it was with LL Cool J and Debbie Allen, Maya Campbell, and I remember Tanya or Kim Wayans being in this show, but I did see a clip of when. So I think Marion, or what did they call him? Did they call him Marion? LL's character. Anyway, I remember I think that maybe Debbie Allen's character was just trying to help him out from under Tanya on here. So she pretended to be this woman that came in and was his fiance or something like that. And when she was kissing all over him and everything like that, and Tanya got up and said, "Oh well, if you're involved, then I cannot be involved with you," or something like that. And then she walks off. So that was the extent of it. I don't think she stayed. In fact, she wasn't in the first season. I think she was in the second season. So yeah, but I mentioned it again because somebody mentioned them before. But yeah, she definitely was stalking him. She was very delusional when it came to him. This screenshot right here is from the episode of where they met, and she again thought that he was like it was like love at first sight for her, but she just began to stalk him at this point. So yeah. Vanessa and Robert in the Cosby Show relationship was hilarious too. You thought it was hilarious? I don't know if I think it was hilarious. Robert was he was annoying too. You know, when they were together, they were cute, but when they weren't together anymore, child, why was he hanging out at the house? Like Vanessa had a whole other boyfriend, or she had a whole another date or whatever. Remember that time he stayed at the house, just chilling around their house. He had hung out with the daddy with Theo, and they was all trying to get rid of him, but he sat there all while Vanessa was out on a date with somebody else. And then one time had a date with him, or no, she was going somewhere with him, and then went out with both of them. I'm like, girl, not girl, but Robert, what are you doing? He was annoying when they weren't in a relationship anymore. So, Marion, yeah, that. Okay, that's what they called him then. Yeah, yeah, I knew that was his name on there, but I didn't know if they had called him something else, or not. Carlton was in the show also. Yeah, okay, I vaguely remember that, but again, I don't really remember the show like that. I remember watching it a long time ago, but I can't remember one episode. I don't even. The only reason why I remember that Maya Campbell's name was Tiffany was because I just remember hearing Debbie Allen say Tiffany, Tiffany, Tiffany so many times. She was a teenager, so sometimes teenagers act a little wild, and so your parents be yelling at you. And I remember her saying the name, but I don't even remember Debbie Allen's character's name on the show, so I would have to look it up. But yeah, that is all I have for the manifestation or madness episode for this. Now, I did have a series of stalking songs, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, this list is kind of long, so I'm gonna have to save it for another day. But yes, so we did talk about today whether or not these unrequited love turnovers were actually about manifestation and it was truly love for them, or if it was just, simply madness. And to each their own when it comes to relationships. But baby, please learn to value yourself in addition to valuing the other people. I don't want nobody to want me for some kind of pity, and I'm not taking on nobody for some type of pity thing. We're too grown for that. Things should be mutual, and you should feel worthy, and your partner should feel worthy of you as a partner. Period. Hey, Tamika, how you doing? So, do you guys have any final thoughts? Because I'm about to wrap it up. Any final thoughts on any of these, or do you have any other couples that you thought were either they manifested their love after being stalked or stalking someone, or if it was simply madness after those as well? Wait a minute, was that the last one? Yep, that was the last one. Okay, well, I appreciate y'all joining me today. And thank you for joining the conversation. Candy Loves TV, Demarcus Vaughn, Miss Kira Speaks, Monique 69 Ways, Tamika's Den. Let me make sure, is that everybody? And anybody else who joined us but didn't speak up in the chat? Because I can't, if I don't know if you're here unless you speak up in the chat. You got to tell me you're here. I don't want to miss you. But I appreciate you joining me. Yeah, and until next time. Oh, what do I have coming up? So we're gonna be what is today? Sunday. So tomorrow I will be finishing up Beauty and Black, episodes 15 to 16. And then on Tuesday, our group panel will be finishing up 15 and 16. And then I'll just have to play it by ear. I want to see there's a couple other things coming up I want to talk about. My duplicity video is doing really, really well, but if you saw it or did not see it, make sure you check out that video as well. That movie was interesting. It's definitely worth the chat about, and it's definitely worth the watch. So, yeah, please do that. And again, if you made it this far, if you're part of the replay gang, make sure you don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We're well on our way to the next goal, which is a 500 subscribers. So make sure you do that. And okay, what you got to say, DeMarcus? Cold Stalk Pam. I mean, did he really though? I mean, I don't know if he stalked her. He might have, pursued her a time or two, but I mean, they was just friends. They just part of the crew. That's all. Any last thoughts before we get out of here? Thank you very much. I appreciate you participating. I appreciate y'all chiming in because, again, sometimes we just need a laugh and a time to just, take our minds to a place that is not on real life right now because it be like that because life be life. And I'm surprised I'm not watching. You mention this every time I come online. I have never seen one episode of Raising Canaan. Now, it's not to say that I am not watching y'all lives about here about it. Like I feel like I know some of the characters, but I would have to start from the beginning, and I don't think I have it in me to start from the beginning and have to do it because I don't have any like reference points for anything. The only thing I ever watched was the original Power, and even that I didn't watch the whole thing. I think I just watched a few episodes of the first season, and pretty much that's it. Maybe some sporadic things that have other episodes here and there, but I really don't know much about the universe at all. But I am thoroughly entertained when I see the videos. Like y'all had me up at 1 o'clock in the morning the other day. I was watching y'all live. Somebody's live out here. I'm like, ooh, okay. It sounds like some really good drama. I just, I just can't right now. So maybe one day. Maybe one day. Let's see. Probably better not to have a reference point with race. Oh, really? so so I could just jump in and not know. I don't have to know the other characters. Okay. So is this the first season of Raising? This is not the first season of Raising Canaan, is it? It's supposed to be a prequel. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, I like stories like that. I love that. Okay. Well, maybe I'll look into it. Yeah, Demarcus has mentioned it several times. About, oh my gosh, what? Oh, I don't know then. I gotta start from the beginning. I don't know about that one. I'd have to binge watch it. It depends on how many episodes in the season. Because if it's one of them like old school Tyler Perry ones, the answer's gonna be no. If you can hit me with a quick 8 episodes, I might be able to, catch up. But probably not before this season is over. So, oh shoot, 10 episodes each. Child, it's 40 hours. That's a work week's worth of seasons. Lord have mercy. Okay, maybe I'll look into it. We'll see. No promises. But I appreciate you always pushing me out there, though, Demarcus, though, because I know that people are um people are really talking about Raising Canaan. So, and it probably would introduce me to some new audiences for sure. So let me think about it. Okay, 34 episodes. Okay. But that's because this season isn't over yet. By the time I get there. By the time I get there, Lord have mercy. Okay, well, we'll see. Well, I'll think about it. But again, thank y'all so much for joining me. I appreciate y'all being here. I hope y'all have a wonderful week. And again, if you don't mind throwing up a couple of prayers, affirmations, positive thoughts, some light, love, and all that for my family as we go to lay our loved ones to rest this week and next week, actually. So I appreciate that. Thank you for joining today. Thank you for laughing with me. And until next time, holla.